Hello all, in this video I'll be talking about ECG and how it works. So ECG means electrocardiogram. In this video I'll be talking about some key concepts. I won't be going in depth about everything, but just the key concepts which will help you interpret an ECG. So we'll be discussing about working of a galvanometer, what depolarization and repolarization means, placements of leads. Then we'll talk about normal ECG and rhythm, then individual pathologies. Coming to the galvanometer. Galvanometer is basically a device which measures an electrical difference between 2 points A and B. Right, so as you can see, I am pointing towards the deflection there. So it has a negative end and a positive end. Say we connect these two ends to electrodes. I'll use a brighter color. Okay. Yeah, so there are two electrodes, a positive and a negative. So what I'll do next is I'll keep some object in between to measure its electrical conductance. Say I keep an object. Okay, so we will measure between 2 points A to B, and suppose the electrical conductance is from A to B, that is from negative to positive end, then the galvanometer will show positive deflection. So if you have to represent in a graphical manner, you will see a positive deflection in the graph. This is why we can see QRS as a positive deflection, because the current is moving in horizontal direction to the two electrodes. Say current is moving in the opposite direction, say from positive to negative side. So obviously the graphical representation will be pointing downwards. So next let's talk about what if it is perpendicular to the 2 points. I'll make a perpendicular moment of current. So the net will be neutral in this, because it's neither moving to the positive direction nor to the negative direction, so it will be net neutral. So you can see 0. Suppose it's moving towards positive, but it's not say parallel to it. Let's say diagonal, call it diagonal. So you'll have a positive deflection, but not much, a smaller amplitude of positive deflection. Okay, next we'll talk about what is depolarization and repolarization. Repolarization is basically charge distribution inside a cell. So we have in depolarization, the electrical change is from endocardium to epicardium, from negative to positive. So all the negative charges is replaced by positive charge from endocardium to epicardium. Right, so this will be a positive deflection, and this basically represent depolarization, that is QRS wave. Negative is basically repolarization in the reverse direction, represented by T wave. This is how normal ECG looks like. Then we'll talk about bipolar and unipolar leads. Leads, we can take them as electrodes. So we keep leads in right arm, left arm, and then left leg. So right arm we connect both to negative electrodes, left arm we connect to positive and negative electrode, and left leg we connect both positive ends. Okay, from right arm to left arm, that is from negative to positive, we take it as lead 1. Lead 2 will be from right arm to left leg, and lead 3 will be from left arm to left leg. Okay, so this is the basic orientation how the leads are placed. So if you can see in this, right, so we can see SA node, then how it depolarizes the left atrium and right atrium, followed by AV node, then from there to bundle of his, and then from there to ventricles. Right, and this is a graphical representation on the left side. So basically atrial depolarization followed by ventricular depolarization, then T wave representing the ventricular repolarization. Okay, so normally we look into the lead 2. So, and this is what the graphical representation of lead 2 will look like. Atrial depolarization followed by ventricular depolarization followed by T wave, that is ventricular repolarization. So now that we understand, we can move on, and this is how it looks, right? So just for example, I'll show you how it works. Our QRS wave looks, that is ventricular repolarization looks like. So we know for to have a positive deflection, the charge should change from negative to positive, right? And it should be horizontal, parallel to the two electrodes placed. So lead 2 is placed in left arm. It's from lead 2 is from right arm to left leg. That's how. If you just see the ventricles, the direction is moving in the same direction as the lead 2. So it's moving horizontally, right? As you can see in the graph, the ventricular depolarization is same as lead 2 movement. I mean the way the current moves in lead 2. So obviously you'll have a big positive deflection. Now coming to the chest leads, these leads are directly placed over the chest. As you can see, there are 6 leads. Right, there's V1, V2, V3, V4 and V5 and V6. So V1 is placed at the right end of the sternum, as you can see here. Just besides the sternum it's kept. Then V2 is placed at the left end of the sternum. V4 at the mid-clavicular line and V5 at the anterior axillary line and V6 at the mid axillary line. So V1 and V2 is placed in 4th intercostal spaces, okay, and V3 is obviously placed in between V2 and V4. So it's kept in 4th intercostal space. Okay, now these will be kept directly over the chest so they can measure directly. So if I have to show you in normal ECG, this is how it looks like. So there are 12 leads, 1, 2, 3 augmented leads, AVR, AVL, AVF and the others. Coming to the rhythms, how a normal sinus rhythm looks like. This is how a normal sinus rhythm looks like. As you can see in the graph, atrial depolarization P wave is followed by a QRS, that is ventricular depolarization, then followed by an T, that is ventricular repolarization. If P wave is followed by a QRS wave, then it's called a sinus rhythm. This is normally how an ECG should look like. Now, okay, as you can see, the ventricular depolarization is narrow in this, and just take a note of it. Ventricular depolarization narrow in this. If suppose there is junctional rhythm, there is no P wave because atria is no longer the pacemaker of the heart. So maybe AV node is the pacemaker, right? So you can see only QRS. There is no P wave. If ventricular is the pacemaker of the heart, there is obviously no P wave. But as you can see, the QRS wave is not narrow in this. So you will have what you call as wide. If you see your in the sinus rhythm, QRS is narrow, but when we see the ventricles, there is a wide QRS. Okay, then there is wide QRS, and then QRS is independent of P because there is no P wave. As ventricle itself is the pacemaker, it will be below the bundle of his, right, independent of P. Now there is something also called as bigemina, where there are two pacemakers. Basically, one will be in the atria, that is produced by the SA node. Then there is one more in the ventricles. As you can see, the ventricular rhythm is, there will be wide QRS, that's ventricular ectopic. But the one produced by the atria, it will be normal narrow QRS preceded by a P wave, that is atrial depolarization. So this is how a bigeminy rhythm looks like. Now, right, so we can see wide QRS as well as narrow QRS. Okay. Now we'll talk about individual waves and its abnormalities. Let's talk about P wave. P wave, normally we know how it looks like, and we'll talk about how it looks like in lead 2. Suppose there is an abnormality, say right atrial enlargement. How should it look like in an ECG? So right atrium basically represent the first half of the P wave. I'll use a different color. So it will represent the height. So it represents the height of the P wave. The height is represented by the right atrium. The width is represented by the left atrium. Suppose any pathology is there in the atria, say right atria is enlarged, then you will see the height difference. Height will be higher. So like if you have a taller P wave, we suspect right atrial enlargement, and we use a term called as P pulmonale for this. Right. So if in the same way there is left atrial enlargement, then we use the term P mitral, and as you can see the width is longer in the shown left atrial enlargement. Suppose there is both right atrial enlargement as well as left atrial enlargement, you can see a higher width and taller P wave. So you'll have both P pulmonale and P mitral existing together. Right, and obviously the how it looks like in V1 is different than lead 2. We basically use lead 2 to see many of the pathologies. Coming to the PR interval basically indicates AV conduction. So it is from the starting of the P wave to the starting of the QRS wave. Right, there are many pathologies related to PR interval. Right, so if there is a AV nodal block, then PR interval is prolonged. Right, and normally when we look at ECG strip, we measure the distance like 3 to 5 mm from like the distance between PR. So if there is more, we'll see it in the causes like beta blockers. If we block the AV node, then this PR interval is prolonged. Same way if there is hyperkalemia and if there is any other AV nodal pathology. Suppose this PR interval is less than 3 to 5 mm, then we suspect some. So more means beta blockers, AV node pathologies, right? And hyperkalemia. Suppose there is suppose there is less than 3 to 5 mm of PR interval, then we suspect something like Wolff-Parkin-White syndrome. It's basically an accessory or a bypass pathway where atria directly stimulates the bundle of His instead of the AV node. So atria directly stimulates the ventricle. That's why it's called Wolff-Parkin-White syndrome. Then QRS pathologies. You can see QRS means ventricular depolarization. So all ventricular pathologies can be found out by looking at the QRS wave. Right. Even as you can see, there is right ventricular hypertrophy, left ventricular hypertrophy, left bundle branch block, right bundle branch block, and pre-excitation. If you look at the left bundle branch block, looks like an M, right? Looks like an M. So why it looks like this? So if we take say a ventricle, let me draw a rough ventricle. So we have a bundle of His dividing into two, right? there is left bundle and right bundle. So if there is a block on the left ventricular branch, then right ventricular branch is the one which supplies the septum as well as the ventricles, right? So initially you will see a tall QRS, positive deflection, because septal depolarization happen. Then negative is because second is on the right side there is depolarization, and followed by the third part, that is the left side depolarization. That's why again positive. So it's like positive, a little bit of negative deflection followed by positive. Let's talk about right bundle branch block, right? It's the same concept. Now if you look, the bundle of his is coming and it's dividing into obviously left and right bundle branch. So now the block should be in the right side, right? So if I do a block over here, then the left side, so basically there will be septum. We are looking in V1 now, not lead 2. So in V1, this basically sees the right side. So right side positive deflection, because first initially is because of the septal depolarization, then followed by this thing, left and then negative deflection followed by a positive deflection because of the LV excitation. Now coming to the pre-excitation, as you can look, atria directly stimulates the bundle of His, it bypassing AV node. Now when AV node is bypassed, ventricle is directly stimulated, right? So we have a shortened PR interval. The reason for this is because the ventricles are stimulated much before the normal stimulation time. So this extra period is, we represent in a graph as delta wave. Then coming to the last bit, how a T wave pathology looks like. There are many terms, we refer it to as normal, biphasic, bifid, broad and flat. And if you just look at some key conditions like hyperkalemia, you'll have a tall T wave, right? Then there is the repolarization variant. Then ischemia, you can see an inversion of T wave. Then there are cases with prolonged QT interval. Okay. This and all you have to look into in-depth study, you have to refer standard textbooks. Then coming to the end, ST segment elevation, you can see in, obviously as you all know, it's seen in acute myocardial infarction. You can see the convex upward stroke, but if it's a pericarditis, it's a concave upward. If it's convex, it's acute myocardial infarction. Thank you.